Welcome everyone. We are live and alive from Apex 1 in Westfield, New Jersey. This is week 3 of the Formula 4 League. We are here racing at Laguna Seca Reverse. Very exciting and new track layout for all these drivers. Many of them I'm sure have done Laguna Seca numerous times, but in reverse, I don't think so. We should be expecting plenty of chaos here. We have the corkscrew just to start. Not going down it this time. We are going up it for this time around. Right now we're on board with Steven. Right now he's approaching the corkscrew. So we're going to get a little taste of what the uphill corkscrew will be like for these drivers. But should make for some very interesting racing dynamics. See if we see some mistakes or possible overtakes throughout that sector of the track. But right now we are in the 15-minute qualifying session. 12 and a half minutes to go. David is in the lead at the moment, although all drivers are just now completing their outlaps. But David will be racing in the red Ferrari. Let me actually just do an audio check real quick. I will be right back. Alright, I am back. So, at the moment, David is leading the grid with a 1 minute 26 flat. But still 11 minutes to go, and it is a short track. So we should be seeing plenty of laps from all the drivers. Just as I say that, Shane goes off into the dirt. See what the best camera is that I can find for you guys. I think it's that one. There we go. So Shane is in the Visa Cash App Red Bull livery. The white one, of course. At the moment, he's in 4th with a 1 minute 27.2. We also changed the overlays for you guys. Doesn't look like Shane is running faster at the moment. See what he gets when he crosses the line. But there you see him making his way around what would usually be turn 1, but with the reverse layout, this is the last turn of the track. But yeah, nowhere near enough. Might have been his outlap. So we're going to go on board with driver number 1, which is Mike Losa. Mike is in the Haas livery, running faster at the moment, although Victor Laduano has just put up a 1 minute 25.3, which puts him at the top of the pack. He put up the fastest second sector of the grid. Right now, Matt has just put up the fastest first sector of the grid, and that has left him in 3rd place. And Mike did not improve. That appeared to be an outlap. I'm going to look at our timing boards. Looks like Steven is running, at the moment, 4/10 quicker than his previous fastest lap, which is a 1 minute 26.4. Ahead of him is Brian with the 26.3, and then ahead of Brian is Matt with the 126.2. So you see the gap from 3rd all the way down to 6th. Those drivers are separated by just 0.3 of a second. This qualifying can really go anywhere, but Steven is going to cross line with a 26.2. That'll put him in 4th, just 0.03 off of Matt's time. Just looking over at the sim, one of the drivers went into the wall. That was Brian. Brian is in the pit lane now. But Matt has just put the fastest first sector. He is running over a second faster than his previous time. I think this is going to put him in first, and it is. He beats out Victor by just 2/10. A 1 minute 25.1 is going to be enough to put Matt in pole, although qualifying is still less than halfway done. 8 minutes left out of the 15-minute session. Losa has also moved up with a 1 minute 26 flat. Gonna take a look. Oh, Shane appeared to be running faster, but he goes off through sector 2. That is going to be the end of Shane's lap. Steven is running 7/10 faster on this lap. I think he may jump some spots, and he does. Steven will jump ahead of Mike, move into 4th place with a 1 minute 25.7. Good lap there from Steven. Still needs to improve by 2/10 of a second in order to move up into 3rd over David. But he does have a 3/10 gap to the driver behind, which is Mike. Mike also has a 3/10 gap to the driver behind him, which is Brian, who's in 6th at the moment. Although Mike is running faster on this lap, appears to be 5 to 6/10 quicker if he's able to finish out the lap strong. This is the last turn now, going through the hairpin. Makes the most out of the track. There you see 2 left tires going off limits, although the 2 right tires stay on. So this will be a valid lap, and it is not enough though. That is a 1 minute 25.9. So he does improve by a lot, but still 2/10 off of Steven's time, which was a 1 minute 25.7. David has just put up a purple sector 2. He's about to cross the line, and he just beats out Matt by 0.08 of a second. David has put up a 1 minute 25.103. 8 thousandths quicker than Matt's, just showing how close, once again, the margins are here at Laguna Seca in the reverse layout. But David and Matt are going neck and neck. Looks like Mike, Losa, and Brian are also pretty close in lap times, as well as Steven. Victor Laduano is not too far off from 1st and 2nd, though. At the moment, he's only 2/10 slower. Still has over 5.5 minutes left to go. So he should be able to get in at least 3 to 4 more laps. We're going to go on board with Anthony, though, in the Tommy Hilfiger livery. At the moment, he's in 8th. His fastest lap is a 127.6. He would need to improve by 4/10 in order to jump over Shane, who has a 127.2. At the moment, Anthony's running 2/10 quicker. Let's see what he could do through sector 2. Approaching the double left-hand turn now, usually the double right-hander. Looks like he's now 3 to 4/10 quicker. Going through the final hairpin. We'll see if he can finish strong. He is about to cross the line in a second or two here. And Anthony has not improved. A 127.7. That is 1/10 slower than his fastest lap. So has 4 minutes left to improve on his time, but struggling at the moment. Although Shane looks to be running 2 seconds faster, and he is. Shane has just put up a 125.5, which will move him ahead of Brian, Mike, and Steven. He has a spin going through turn 1, so that'll end this lap. But Shane has moved up into 4th place, 2/10 gap both ahead and behind him. Victor Laduano ahead, Steven behind him. Still has 3.5 minutes left. This lap is dead though. Don't know if he'll stay on track for the rest of the session or possibly go into the pits to change those tires, but it looks like he's gonna stay out. But Matt has just improved on his first sector by 0.3 of a second. And he's just put up another purple sector. The times just keep going down for Matt. He already beat out David's time once, and then he beat it once again. The second time he beat it by almost 0.3. And I think he's about to beat David's time for the third time. A purple sector 1, 2, and I believe he's going to cross the line for a purple sector 3, and he is improving by 1.5 of a second. That is a 124.6. Matt staying in first, but only improving on his gap. The gap is now 0.4 between himself and David, who's in second. I'm going to go on board with Shane, though, because Shane has just started his hot lap. Looks like Mike is improving by 0.2. Actually going to look at Mike very quick as he's about to cross the line. It's going to be close. He needs to improve by 1.5 of a second to jump ahead of Steven. At the moment, Mike has a 126, but he beats it out. He gets a 125.89. Oh no, he doesn't. That lap was not valid. So Mike remains in 6th. Still 0.1 of a second off of Steven. We're going to go back on board with Shane here. Shane is running 0.4 quicker at the moment. Needs to improve on his lap by 0.2 to move up into 3rd. But Shane gets a little loose going through the hairpin. I think that's going to kill his lap. But right after he crosses the line, I just want to bring up another lap from one of our standout drivers. So Shane has not improved on his time, but Matt has once again put up a fastest lap of the session. This time he's improved by 0.4 of a second, getting a 124.4. The gap is now 0.7 of a second between himself and David, who's in second. It was looking for a while like the two drivers were going to be very close in qualifying times, but Matt has just kept on improving, and David has not been able to improve on his lap time. And at the moment, he's 0.4 slower than his previous fastest, which is a 125.1. So I don't think he'll be able to make up the time in this 3rd sector. So David does not improve, remains in second. At the moment, Steven is running 0.1 quicker and needs to improve on his lap by 0.2 in order to out-qualify Shane for 5th. It's now overtime, so this will be Steven's last lap of the session. We'll see if he could beat out Shane, but the time is now running out for Steven. His second sector was 0.4 slower, so he needs to have a great 3rd sector in order to overtake Shane. I don't know if he'll be able to do it. But other than that, it looks like most of the drivers are in the pits and have ended their qualifying session. But Steven does not improve, crossing the line with a 126.5. That is, 0.9 seconds off of his previous fastest lap. So that is nowhere near enough for Steven to outqualify Shane. But it looks like That's now the end of the session for all drivers besides Mike. At the moment, Mike is running 1/10 quicker than his previous fastest, would need to improve by just 0.03 of a second to out-qualify Victor, but no, it looks like Mike has actually crossed the line now, or teleported himself. I don't know, but Mike was not able to out-qualify Victor, misses out on third place by just 0.03 of a second, but Matt has dominated qualifying and claims first place. David is in second, followed by Victor. We have Mike in fourth, then Shane, Steven. Brian will be starting race 1 in 7th, and then Ant in 8th, Cole in 9th. But we're going to have about 3.5 to 4 minutes to go until the start of race 1. But for those that are new, we're going to do 2 races here. It's a standard format for our leagues. We are going to do 2 25-minute races. Race 1 will begin in about 3 minutes, and then we're going to have a 3 to 4 minute break in between race 1 and 2, and then race 2 will be another 25-minute race, but with the reverse grid. So this is week 3 out of 5 weeks in the F4 league. Just want to go over the standings for you guys. At the moment, Shane is leading the league with 66 points. Behind him is Victor Ladwano, who's qualified in 3rd. So Victor out-qualifying Shane. Victor has 57 points. So Victor 9 points off of Shane. But just 3 points behind Victor is Steven with 54 points. Then we have Brian in 4th with 52. David is in 5th with 43, although he did miss one of the 2 weeks. Cole is in 6th with 42 points. And then we have Mike in 7th with 16 points. This is Ant's first race of the league. So Ant will definitely be the wild card for this race. He qualified in 8th, but he's usually one of the faster drivers. So we'll see what he could do, but fairly confident in Ant's ability to put up a good fight. Although it does look like Ant might have made a mistake and will be starting from pit lane, unfortunately. Might be a blessing for him, might be a curse. We'll see, but he will be avoiding the turn 1 chaos, at least. So that is good for him. But looks like we have a minute and a half left until the start of race 1, so I will be right back to kick you guys off for the start of the race. But we are 10 seconds off until the start of race 1. The red lights are off, and away we go for the start of race 1. David in 2nd at the moment. Matt is going to be in 1st. So Ant started from the pits. Ant's going to have to give up that spot. in order to avoid a penalty. Maybe he did that on purpose, but we'll see what he does. But it looks like Matt is in second at the moment. David in third. Shane is in sixth at the moment. All drivers keeping it clean so far though. No incidents, no spins. Keeping it fairly straight line, although Mike and David are now battling it out. This is the battle for P3. Mike is in the Haas livery, David behind him in the Ferrari. But Ant is now going to give up the spots to avoid the penalty. So it is now race on, but Mike goes into the wall, attempting to overtake Matt. Huge collision there from Mike. He teleports to the pits. That's going to put him a lap down, but Matt's in first. David close behind. These two drivers now battling it out for first. 23 minutes to go. But David has just spun. David is now off. Shane is off as well. Shane almost goes completely into the wall. I think he avoids most of the damage there, but Shane is now in fourth with Steven close behind, but Steven bashes into Shane and the two drivers into the wall. Steven gets the worst end of it. David now moves ahead of both of them, going up into fifth place. I thought it was going to be a calm start, but the end of lap one just was pure chaos. Matt is leading the race with a 1.2 second gap at the moment. Victor Laduano is behind him, followed by Brian in third, and then Ant in fourth. All drivers are staying out on track though. I don't think any substantial damage from the collisions. I know Mike went into the pits. Mike is now back out on track though. He did get off his sim, but decided to get back up, finish out the race, because there is 21 minutes left, and it's definitely worth it to get the practice for the next race. But speaking of practice, Steven has just spun, and Steven has now moved back up into 8th place. Cole moving ahead of him, now in 7th. Although Cole still has a lot of work to do. 7-second gap between himself and Shane. Although that gap is now going to decrease by a lot because Shane has spun, goes off into the dirt, and Cole is now just 0.6 of a second behind him. So Cole will be looking to take advantage of Shane's mistake. Shane might be suffering from overheated tires, possibly dirt on them as well. But Cole is close behind. David is also close behind Ant. So we're going to be showing that battle shortly. As a matter of fact, we're going to be showing that battle now because David has put up a purple sector 1 and purple sector 3 and is now going for the overtake. Makes the move on the inside over Ant, and he is able to stick it. Great move there from David. Holds the inside line and defends his position, although David goes off into the dirt and has a spin, getting a little too eager there, defending his spot. Ant pushing him to the limits, and David is now back up into 5th. Shane has also passed him. Shane has now moved up into 5th. David now sitting in 6th place, although he is holding the fastest lap of the race, which would earn him an extra 2 points if he's able to hold on to that. But David is now going to be facing pressure from Cole, who's in 7th. Yes. Alright, I am back. Was just helping David out, but looks like Cole is in 8th at the moment. Steven has moved up to 7th. I believe he's overtaking Cole. But Matt has put up the fastest lap of the race. And Steven spins heading into the second sector. That's going to put Cole ahead of him, although Cole goes into the dirt. Steven is livid, though. Can hear him from over here screaming. But plenty of mistakes so far from not only Steven, but many of the drivers. But Matt's fastest lap is a 125.1, although David has the purple sector 1 and 2. So I think David is about to reclaim his fastest lap crown for the race so far. And he is by 4.5 tenths of a second. David has put up a 124.6. So although he's not been the most consistent and has had a few spins, David has definitely been one of the faster drivers here, putting up multiple fastest laps of the race. He has a 4-second gap between himself and Shane. Shane's last lap was 1.3 seconds off of David, though. So if David can keep this up and Shane continues to lag behind David, David should be catching him within the next 3 or so laps. But Brian is in 3rd, currently 1.8 seconds off of Victor Laduano. But Brian spins going through the hairpin, is able to save it just enough to remain on track. He goes over the dirt with all 4 tires. It's definitely going to put some dirt on them. But he's still out on track. He only lost about a second or 2 in that exchange, definitely putting him further behind Victor. So that battle might be over for him, and he might want to just hold on to 3rd. But there is 16 minutes left to go. So plenty left to happen here at the reverse layout of Laguna Seca. But David is still running faster than Shane. His last lap was 5 tenths faster than Shane's last lap. The gap is now 1.2 seconds, although David has just gotten a little loose. Camera missed it, but I heard it from over here from the shake of his sim. So that's going to cost him a bit of time. I think around 7 tenths of a second to be exact. David smashes into the wall with his right tires. Not enough to put him off or cause him to spin or get extreme damage, but it is just enough to slow him down, making his way down the straightaway. Although he does keep improving on his laps and getting closer and closer to Shane. Shane's last lap was a 128.8, so he's definitely feeling the pressure from David. But David is now right on the rear end of Shane because Shane has made another mistake. David looks to be lining up a move down the inside, but the two of them bash wheels, go off track. David is going to go out ahead. That's going to be a post-race review, but David has gotten the better of that collision from the two drivers, although he goes off track once again. Struggling a lot in this race. He is the fastest driver, but has not been the most consistent. But Shane was making many mistakes as David got closer. David looked to be making the overtake, but then Shane suddenly swiped into the left side of him, and put both of them off track and into the wall. But Matt continues to lead the race. His gap is 2.5 seconds, but we are just about halfway through the race. 12 minutes and 45 seconds to go out of the 25-minute race. Victor is in second, Brian in third, followed by Anthony, and then David in fifth. The gaps have increased from most drivers, though. So we're going to go on board for a lap or two with the leader of the race, which is Matt. And we'll see if he could keep it consistent and, most importantly, keep it on track to hold out this race. So the pressure is on for Matt because Victor's last lap was half a second quicker than Matt's last lap. The gap is only 2.1 seconds, and we still have 11 minutes to go, which should be about 8 or 9 laps here at Laguna. So plenty of time for Victor to put down plenty of faster laps than Matt and decrease that gap and possibly look at his first win of the season. I don't believe Victor has won yet. I would have to double check on that though. But there is a lot on the line here. Again, I just want to go over the standings for you guys. Shane is in first at the moment with 66 points. Victor in second with 57. Matt is not on here. I don't know why. Sorry, let me go to this other table. Okay, so here we go. Oh yeah, Matt is... Alright, here we go. So Matt is in 7th right now with 42 points. He's tied with Cole, though. Cole also has 42 points. David is ahead of them by just 1 point. At the moment, Shane is leading the league with 66 points. In the race, Shane is in 6th. So Shane definitely has some work to do. He is only 0.2 of a second off of Anthony, though. So we're going to go over to this battle here. Some points on line for Shane, but Shane spins, goes into the dirt, and that is going to end his hopes for now of overtaking Ant. Just as I was saying, Shane is in first and has plenty on the line to fight for. He has a spin attempting to overtake Anthony, and that is going to cost him plenty of time. But behind him in the standings is Victor Laduano with 57 points. So it looks like after this race, Victor will be the active leader of the league. But Steven is in third with 54, and then Brian in fourth with 52 points. So Brian and Steven very close in the standings, although Brian is getting the better end of that battle so far. Brian in third place at the moment. Brian racing in that Red Bull Ford Racing livery. Brian's fastest lap of the race is a 125.4. That is 0.8 off of David's fastest lap, which is a 124.6. Just showing the importance of consistency in these races. Although Brian has not been faster than David in the majority of the race, he's been more consistent, and he's been faster when it matters, and he's avoided those spins, and he's kept it on track, which has left him ahead of David, at least for now, although the gap is pretty big, 14 seconds to be exact between the two drivers. The closest gap is between Shane and Anthony. 3 seconds separates those two drivers. There's also a 4-second gap between Steven and Shane. So those drivers are in 5th, 6th, and 7th. But Victor has ran a second slower than Matt in his last lap. So that gap is now 4 seconds, which looks to be the end of Victor's hopes of claiming a win in race 1. As long as Matt can keep it on track, I think Matt will be able to hold off for a win here at Laguna. But Victor in second, still a great result for him. And then Brian in third would be a good result for him as well if he's able to hold on. But we're going to go over to Shane, as he is currently 2.4 seconds off of Anthony. Shane's last lap was 2 seconds quicker than Anthony's, though. So Anthony seems to be making some mistakes, and if he makes a few more, or even just one big enough mistake, Shane will be able to overtake him for P5. 6 minutes left to go now. Shane is narrowing down the gap between the two drivers, while he is increasing the gap between himself and Steven, who's behind him in 7th. 6.5 seconds currently separates those two drivers. Mike still in 8th. He's currently a lap down from the leader, and I believe is about 40 seconds off of Steven, who's in 7th. But Cole is in the pits. I don't know if Cole's race is done. Cole's in the pits. Looks like he is going to finish the race in 9th. But Shane continues to narrow down the gap between himself and Anthony. The gap is now 0.5 between these drivers. 5 minutes left to go. I think Shane may be able to do it if he continues this pace and slows down a bit. Going through the right-hander, but Ant makes a mistake. Shane has put enough pressure on Anthony for Anthony to check his rear view mirror and go off into the dirt. that mistake is going to cost Anthony 2 positions, as Steven has now also moved ahead, going up into 6th place. Ant has now fallen back into 7th, although he is comfortably ahead of Mike, who's in 8th. So I think that'll be 7th place secured for Anthony. But the gaps between all the drivers, as you can see from the map on the top right, are pretty sizable. So I think that'll be all the positions set for race 1, unless there's any more major mistakes, such as the one we saw from Ant. But there is still fastest lap of the race on the line. Doesn't matter what position you finish in. If you get that fastest lap, you will get an extra 2 points, which is huge in the league standings. Is separating a few of the drivers here so far after 2 weeks and 4 races. But at the moment, the fastest lap of the session is held by David, which is a 124.6. The person in second is Shane, who has a 120. Oh no, sorry, the person in second. Oh no, yes, it is Shane. Shane's fastest lap is a 124.9. So Shane would need to improve on his lap by 0.3 of a second in order to overtake David for the fastest lap of the race. I don't know if he'll be able to do it though, because his last few laps have been slower, and he's currently 0.9 off of his fastest lap. I think David is not improving on his lap at the moment. He's just starting his lap. So it looks like Victor has made a big mistake on his last lap, which has lost him 3 seconds of time. And Brian has now made the overtake. Victor braked very hard and completely missed the apex, almost seeming to let Brian through. But Brian has now made the move for P2. A minute and a half left in the race. Victor possibly out of fuel, but he has now entered the pits. Victor looked to be finishing the race in second, although he has now moved into 4th. David going ahead into 3rd, so it looks like David will be finishing in the podium. Shane has also moved ahead of Victor, though. Shane now moving up into 4th. That's going to be the end of Victor's pit stop, though. That pit has moved him from 2nd all the way down into 5th place. Brian getting the best end of that deal, moving up into 2nd place. If he's able to hold on to this, would be 18 points and a strong result for him. But Matt continues to lead the race. A dominant performance from him, leading by 14.5 seconds. So we're going to go on board with Matt as the white flag is now up, and he is about to complete his last lap of the race. What's up? And the white flag is up for Matt. He is now on his last lap of the race, 15 seconds ahead of Brian, who's in 2nd. Matt has not been able to get fastest lap of the race, and his first sector is 0.9 off. So he's not going to claim fastest lap. He was going to claim first, though. But David looks to be holding on to the fastest lap. Although Shane, we're actually going to move into this battle, because Shane was very close for for a second. David made a huge mistake, which almost cost him third. Looks like the gap is now a second though. So Shane won't be able to capitalize on that mistake from David. And he's not going to be able to because Shane has spun going up the corkscrew. And I think that spin is going to be enough for Victor to move up. And that is. Victor is now moved up into 4th place. So his pit stop mistake has been undone a little bit. Shane has moved down into 5th. But Matt has now crossed the line. 1st place secured for Matt. Great result for him. Brian is about to cross the line for 2nd place. And there you have it, the 2nd podium finisher of the night. Brian crossing the line for 2nd. David is now making his way around the corkscrew. David will cross the line for 3rd. David claims fastest lap of the race, so that'll be an extra 2 points for him. But Shane has spun. That has cost Shane more positions. Steven has moved ahead of Shane. Steven going up into 5th place. Shane has moved down into 6th. Another mistake from him cost him another position. But that is now the end of the race for all drivers besides Anthony. But congratulations to Matt for taking the win in race 1. Brian has finished 2nd, David in 3rd, Victor in 4th, followed by Steven and then Shane. Race 2 will be starting in about 5 minutes. It will be a reverse grid, so we will be having Cole starting in 1st, followed by Mike Losa, and then Anthony in 3rd. But that is the end of race 1. We saw plenty of chaos, collisions, and spins on lap 1 and 2. So we should be seeing the same in race 2. For the driver's sake, hopefully we won't. But I will be right back in a few minutes to kick you guys off for race 2 here at Laguna Seca Reverse. But thank you guys all for tuning in. And if you guys haven't subscribed to our channel, hit that notification bell to make sure you guys get all the notifications when we go live. We do these leagues every Wednesday and Sunday night at 8 p.m. But I will be back shortly for the start of race 2. All right, we are back. I was just helping one of the drivers, but it is lights out and away we go here at Laguna Seca. Losa in first at the moment. So David's screen had an issue which made him go off track. Not much he could do there. An unfortunate outing for David. But we're going to go to the battle here between Matt and Brian. Matt looked to be making an overtake for a brief moment, although Brian holds on to his position. Brian in 5th, Matt in 6th. But Mike spins. Oh no, that was not Mike, that was Shane. No, Anthony. Anthony spins. Timing board was all over the place, but Anthony spun. Moves back into 7th. Shane is in 5th. But he locks up his brakes, and David is going to make his move past Shane to move up into 5th. Shane locked up his brakes, missed the apex entirely, which ended up costing him the position. But Brian is right on the tail end of Steven, who's in 2nd at the moment. But Mike is leading the race by 5 seconds. I think Steven may be holding up Brian as well as Matt, but Brian has not been able to find his way through. So that's only going to allow Mike to get further ahead of the rest of the pack as this race progresses. And Mike is now 6 seconds ahead. But that is Shane going off track, bashing into the wall. That is going to cost him a ton of time and positions. Shane has now moved back into 8th place. Victor Ladwano has just passed Anthony for P6. And Matt has just passed Brian, although Brian is still holding his line on the inside, going through the hairpin. And Brian is going to go ahead for a split second, but the two drivers going side by side. Matt slightly ahead, and Matt jumps in front, still holding into 3rd, and now holding the inside line going through turn 1. But Brian and David go off. Victor affected as well, not able to avoid the chaos. And Anthony gets the best out of that exchange and has now moved up into 4th. David now in 5th, Brian in 6th, and then Victor behind him in 7th. Matt is now right on the tail end of Steven. Matt currently in 3rd. His last lap was 3/10 quicker than Steven's last lap. Matt well within the draft of Steven, looking to make an overtake through the hairpin. See if he can set up for a run going down the start-finish straight. For now, Steven is holding his position. But Matt very close behind. Matt, though, is going to look to make an overtake on the inside. Matt's going to brake later and is going to make the move. Very good overtake there from Matt, completing the overtake for P2. The gap between Matt and Mike, who's currently the leader of the race, is 6.5 seconds. So plenty of work for Matt to do in order to move past Mike. But I think David and Matt and Anthony might have just had an incident. One of the two drivers. And Matt has just put up the fastest lap of the race with a 125.3. David put up a purple sector 1 but was not able to beat out the lap. But David attempted to make the move over Victor but bashes into the wall and is not able to do so. Still not too far behind though, just over half a second behind Victor. This is a battle for P5. 18.5 minutes left to go though, so plenty of time for all drivers to make up some positions. But Mike continues to lead the race. Meanwhile, Shane has just put up the fastest lap with a 125 flat. David has put up a purple sector 2 as he's now just 0.3 of a second behind Victor. He should be within the draft of Victor down the straightaway. These cars don't have DRS, so not a huge advantage there. Also not a super long straight. But at the moment, David half a second behind Victor in the battle for P5. Mike still leading the race by 6 seconds. Although Matt is decreasing that gap as each lap goes on. But David makes the move going down the outside, although he spins, goes into the dirt, and takes Victor with him. That mistake has allowed Anthony to move up to P5 now. Has a 10-second gap between himself and Cole. Or sorry, himself and Brian. Shane is in the pits. I don't know what's wrong with Shane, but he's in the pits in 8th place. Although he does hold the fastest lap of the race. Shane is now exiting the pits. Almost an entire lap between himself and Victor. And he's not starting. I think he was waiting for Victor to pass. So he's now a lap behind Victor. Don't know why he waited so long. He didn't have to do that. But he was playing it safe, being in 8th place. So can't hate on that. But at the moment, the tightest gap is between David and Anthony. And David has put up a purple sector 1 and 2 as he is now half a second behind Anthony. David's last lap was a 136.3, while Anthony's was a 127. So that was, of course, the lap when David had that huge mistake. But David keeping it tight behind Ant, going through the hairpin. He's going to take the inside line, looking to get the side draft of Anthony. And he's going to brake later to set up the move through turn 1. And he is going to complete the move. P5 now for David. Looks like Mike had a big mistake on his last lap and ran 5 seconds slower than his average. So Mike, although Mike has just put up a purple sector 2. So Mike is definitely pushing it, although that mistake from him on the last lap has allowed Matt to get a lot closer. Matt is now 2 seconds closer, whereas just 2 laps ago the gap was over 6 seconds. But Mike goes off track again, so the gap is now 1.2 seconds between himself and Matt. Mike going off track once again, most certainly feeling the pressure of Matt. The gap is now less than half a second. I think we may possibly be seeing an overtake from Matt. So as the battle for P1 heats up, we have now approached the halfway mark for race 2 of 2 here at the reverse layout of Laguna. Mike is leading the race and has been leading the race for the entire duration, but Matt is now putting on the pressure and is well within reaching range of Mike. Steven is in third. Would be a great result for him if he's able to hold on to podium, although Brian has been putting on the pressure within the last few laps, putting up faster times than Steven. But Matt's last lap was 0.8 quicker than Mike, and Mike goes wide, but Mike holds his line. And Mike has gone off into the dirt, which has allowed Matt to make his way past. Matt has put the pressure on for the last few laps, and he didn't have to fight much to make the move over Mike for P1, but Mike has a mistake and has allowed Matt to go ahead. He's now ahead by 0.4 of a second as he goes through the hairpin, but Matt has continued to put the pressure on, and it's most certainly paid off because he's now leading the race with 9 minutes to go. Mike has moved down into second. Still would be a great result for him if he's able to hold on. Steven in third would be another good result for Steven if he's able to hold on to that as well. But David seemed to have another mistake with his car and is now dropped behind Victor. Victor moving up into sixth. These two drivers are about 1.5 seconds off of Anthony, who's in fifth. But David's still fighting, still looking to make the move. He's going to take the outside line going through turn one, try to set up a faster exit. He's not going to be able to do so, though. We actually missed it, but Mike has dropped behind Steven as well. Mike must have had another mistake, which has allowed Steven to move up into second, but Mike is now facing pressure from Brian. And there you see again just how quick things can turn around in this race for any driver. Within the span of 1 or 2 laps, Mike has gone from leading the race to almost at a podium position. We'll see if he can hold on, but he's now facing the pressure of Brian. But David also continues to put pressure on Victor in the battle for P5. But there you have it. Just as I switch cameras, Mike must have made another mistake. Must have gone into the dirt again because Brian has coasted past for P3. Mike now out of podium position. And Matt is leading the race by 9.3 seconds. Sizable gap for him. But David and Victor go off track, which allows Anthony to move ahead for P5. Victor has also just jumped ahead of David. Here you see David looking to make the move down the inside, but he does not have enough runaway. But the two drivers are going to be going into the double left-hander now. David has the outside line and is still behind Vic, although not too far off, still well within his draft. Just under 6 minutes to go. The time is running out for all the drivers. Both of these guys are getting a bit closer to Anthony, though. This battle is going to hold them up a bit. But it looks like Mike has just banged into Brian because both drivers have been slowed down. But Brian remains ahead. And this is the battle for podium position. Brian and Steven look to be close for a bit, but Brian has now jumped ahead. 7:10 separates the two drivers. 4 minutes to go. 5th through 7th place are separated by just over a second. And it looks like David is getting closer to Victor. He ran 9/10 quicker than Victor in the last lap, but Victor is also putting the pressure on Anthony. And Brian has gone off track, going up the corkscrew. That mistake has allowed Mike to move ahead into P3 with 2 minutes left to go. That mistake is going to cost Brian podium position. He still has some time left to undo his mistake, although the gap is 2 seconds between himself and Mike, so he's going to need to hope for a mistake from Mike. And Shane has just taken the fastest lap from Matt. Brian within just 3/10 of Mike. The battle is on as these drivers, I believe, are going to have 2 laps left in the race. Drivers are now about to cross the line, and here it is. The white flag is out for both of them. This will be their last laps of the race, but Matt, with a dominant performance here at Laguna, leading the race by 18 seconds. Behind him is Steven. Steven holds on. He's able to complete this lap without any major mistakes or spins. P2 will be a great result for him, and then Mike securing P3. Although Brian looked to be close for a second, although he went off into the dirt. I don't think... Oh, Mike goes off! Mike goes off into the dirt on the last lap. Faces the pressure from Brian. And that mistake is going to cost Mike his first ever podium in a league. Brian has moved ahead to third. Matt has just crossed the line to finish the race for his second win of the league. Steven has crossed the line, for P2, and Brian has now crossed the line for P3. Mike will finish in fourth after that mistake on the last lap. An unfortunate end to his race, although still a decent result for him. Possibly one of his best results of the season. Victor is going to cross the line for fifth. Anthony finishes in sixth. Shane will finish in seventh, followed by David and then Cole. But that is all for tonight, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you this upcoming Sunday for the next week of the Super GT League. But that is all. Thank you guys again. And if you don't already, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you guys are notified anytime we go live. But this is Michael signing off live from Apex 1. Again, if you guys haven't checked us out already, check us out. We're in Westfield, New Jersey, New Jersey's premier sim racing lounge. But that is all for tonight. I will be back